Hello, everybody. It's 501, week number 7. So, this week, there's a handful of pretty big things going on. The first one I want to make sure you get while I know you're paying attention. Not that you're not paying attention, but like when I watch videos, I pay attention at the very beginning. We know the recency primacy effect, right? You pay attention to the very beginning and the very end, and the middle kind of gloss over. I know I do that as a learner, just assuming that's how your brain works as well. Um, Google Educator Level 1 certification. Make sure you register this week. When you register, it takes sometimes an hour, sometimes I've heard the longest is 48 hours, but it's typically pretty quickly. When you register, you have access to the testing platform. You have a week to do that, but you need to give yourself some time. So, the recommendations inside of the week 7 page in Canvas is to register on Friday. So set yourself a reminder, an alarm, whatever you need to do. Email yourself and snooze it until it sends Friday morning. The recommendation is Friday to register for Google Certified Educator Level 1 exam, and then you have a full week to take the test. As a reminder, week 8, if we jump ahead a week, the course ends Friday just before midnight, 11:59 p.m. So dramatic. But that means you have week 8 to take the level 1 certification. You want to make sure that you've registered for it ahead of time. If you want to take it earlier in the week, you can register for it ahead of time. If you're watching this on Monday and you want to take it next Monday afternoon, watch the video and then click on that link and go register right now. Just know that you have 1 week from when you register to when you take it. So you got to get that timing kind of just right. If we look at this week, the big thing is the assignment, looking at your lesson plan. So with this, you're going to take your assignments. So this is assignment 7. So you're going to take assignments 6, 5, 4, and 3 and put them together in a one lesson plan inside of Google Classroom. There's lots of examples, lots of steps to do in the Google Doc that has your assignment description. So I'm just going to have you look at that. Once you look through that and click through the links, I feel that this lesson plan, this assignment makes a whole lot of sense. So I'm not going to explain it too much further. The only thing I will add for the layout, there's a screenshot of what that looks like. One thing I've seen that I really, really like, that I typically do not like, is to actually add emojis for each of the steps. So for example, step 1, Curiosity Spark, you might use the boom, the little like, or maybe a light bulb. Instructional screencast might be like a screen icon, and on and on. Formative assessment might be the emoji, the like that, and summative assessment might be like the sunglasses or like the cool, like yeah. But adding those maybe after the numeral, so step 1 emoji Curiosity Spark, step 2 emoji that, or put the emojis at the end. It doesn't. You can reorder inside of Google Classroom, so the emojis can go first. But even with adults, I've seen the use of emoji to be really, really helpful, because then people just are like, oh, I'm looking for the light bulb, and that's step 1, and they're actually not reading. And it adds, I think, just the right level of playfulness that is still professional, I think, on the educator part, but just enough playful that it's not just like dry. Because you don't want a piece of toast with it's just plain. And in some ways, without the emoji, you're like, here's a piece of plain toast. We don't want a piece of plain toast. Oh, when I'm recording in here, do I get to use the new reactions? If I do a thumbs down, do I get, yeah, look at that. Even I just use QuickTime Player to record. And if you have no emojis, do we do the double thumbs down? Will it register the clouds? It will. I'm doing this in the new Mac OS Sonoma, and I'm using my phone as continuity camera right there. I'm touching my phone's camera. So I think you might need both to be able to pull off the thumbs down or the double thumbs up. What's the double thumbs up? Yeah. All right, that's fun. I'm digging that. And then just QuickTime Player in Mac OS. Anyway, enough fun with that. The last big thing we have for this week is the discussion board. So it looks at looking at Curiosity Spark kind of assignments, kind of the framing that I read into it is assignments 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now let's take a look at AI in education. In your weekly announcement, check it out. There's a link to all the resources I've been collecting for teachers at my school at Hillbrook around AI in education. It's also shared in the announcement. So if you want to do a little bit of reading, there's more than 60 articles, some of which are already completely outdated because it's moving quicker. It's moving quicker than anything I've ever seen in education before. The best explanation I've heard, I don't recall if I already told you this, is if we look at the adoption of kind of the internet, the way we use it as teachers now, we had really from like 1990 until now. So we had kind of a 30-year runway to figure out what these tools are, how we may or may not integrate it, best practices, and that was a 30-year runway to figure out the internet in schools. And now with AI in education, it's been like a 1-year runway to get to kind of where we are now. In 1 more year, I think we're going to kind of figure out how we do and don't use it as schools in a way that took us with kind of the internet and web-based devices kind of 30 years. So it's 30 times faster, 15 times faster. I think 30 times faster feels about right. It's not an exaggeration to say AI in education is moving 30 times faster. That is my personal opinion, not hyperbole, legit 30 times faster. So there's a couple videos from 60 Minutes that walks you through that. Feel free to respond by looking at those videos or reading through a handful of the articles that I've shared. My intent in sharing it is for it to be genuinely useful for a classroom teacher. I've not curated it in a way of like, this is for my grad students to read and write in a discussion board. That's how I respond in discussion boards, by doing this. But to genuinely be just like trying to keep a pulse on how AI is shaping what's possible in education. So either way, you're welcome to watch the videos. There's a 13-minute video and a 27-minute video. You'll want to watch both of those or read through about that much content in those in that collection on Wakelet. I think I've talked quite a bit about AI in education kind of leading up to the Week 7 discussion board. The one thing I will add is that ChatGPT has added a massively new, kind of mind-blowing, and again, not hyperbole, like pretty significant upgrade where it can take an image and give you feedback on it. So the 2 examples I've seen, it's not available for me yet. You need to be a ChatGPT paid subscriber, $20 a month, and it has to be rolled out to you. So I'm a pro subscriber, but it's still not there yet for me. The 2 examples I saw that are pretty compelling is the first one is a photograph of the person's bike, and they say, here's my bike, how do I lower the seat to make it more comfortable? And ChatGPT gives you the step-by-step and explains what you're looking for bike seat height. I know that when I was riding my bike a lot, getting the seat just right makes a big difference, or else you can really hurt your knees kind of on the front or the back of your knee as I'm touching my knees. It can really lead to some problems. It's not just kind of shoulder or neck or back, but the seat height's a big deal. And in this example I saw was just like pretty phenomenal, the feedback that ChatGPT gave based on that person's photo of their actual bicycle. The second one, do you like the movie Inception? Christopher Nolan? I love that movie. Also, I got to take a tour of Warner Brothers back before it became a bit more Disneyfied. They do a backlot tour. Right now it's much more like what you get at Universal Studios. There's the shark, here's the fake flood, here's the tunnel. Warner Brothers is now like that, but initially they would just like legit take you in a golf cart for 10 people and drive around the back lot and didn't really have a tour in mind. There's like literally touring you. Like if you were to come to my school, it'd be the same thing. Like, let's just look at we'll see what we see. And I think enough not interesting things happened that they had to actually like spin up a real tour. And now we'll go into the studio where you see all the different cars, and here's the Batman car, and here's the James Bond car. When I went for the first tour, they just drove in and they're like, this set's available. So we saw Merlot's Bar, if you've watched True Blood. I've not, but we got to walk on the set and see like the lights that they hung from last week's episode. I just got to like walk the set. We also got to just sit on some props and hold props. One of the props was from the couch in Inception, where Jordan Gordon-Levitt, that was his name, right? Was like sitting on it, and they had a kiss, and it was like a moment, and like I sat on that couch. It was so cool, and like I remember the line at the time and said that to my wife, and she's like, "You're ridiculous and embarrassing me," and I'm like, "This is the couch. This is so cool." Anyway, that's a very long way of saying I very much appreciate the movie, and in the last year, Christopher Nolan. I'm going to get back to ChatGPT and the photograph example right now. Christopher Nolan shared all the different levels in Inception. It's an incredibly complicated movie and incredibly complicated like thing to wrap your brain around, and people spent like hours trying to tease apart what his sketch was of the different levels. And if you've not seen this, this is why I added a little bit about like the Warner Brothers backlot tour. You can just kind of like nod your head along with me. But if you've seen it, you'd be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So what somebody did is they uploaded that image of Christopher Nolan's sketch of the different levels in Inception and said, the director and writer Christopher Nolan created this thing. Can you explain it to me? And sure enough, ChatGPT took that photograph of his sketch, so it's an image that was uploaded, and said like, here are the different characters, here's the different roles, here's the different levels, here's how time expands and shifts based on the different levels, here's an aside for this, here's an aside from that, in this level, this character plays this role, and like explain the whole thing in a way that was like the most coherent explanation of the movie and of the note that I had ever read. So I think the potential between like the bike seat and the very long story of Inception shows that the ability to take images and photographs, or for that matter, screenshots and writings, upload them and be able to interact with them in ChatGPT is pretty profound. The other big news is that ChatGPT has created a partnership, well, not a partnership. So OpenAI, funded mostly by Microsoft. OpenAI runs ChatGPT and runs DALL-E, DALLE, which is a play on WALL-E, the Pixar cartoon, and Salvador Dali. Anyway, DALL-E 3 can now add text and captions, like think making your own comic. Thus far, image generative AI tools can't add text. There's one or two exceptions that don't come up with great images but can add text. So DALL-E 3 can add text, and soon DALL-E 3 is going to be part of the paid ChatGPT because they're both OpenAI, which also just has the potential to kind of crack this open. Also part, depending on when you watch these videos, part of why I waited till Monday around lunchtime to upload this is I wanted to see if there was more breaking news, particularly around this this discussion board topic, because just genuinely things are changing every single day, and I wanted to give you kind of the most up-to-date video I could explaining kind of the latest in AI and education. So as of right now, that image is coming to maybe a third of paid ChatGPT. That's a very long explanation of kind of what that discussion board's about, but again, it feels incredibly timely and is changing so quickly that I wanted to make sure to cover this for you pretty quickly. So with that, let's see, making sure I covered all the things. Lesson plan, assignment, check. Discussion board, check. Signing up for Google Educator Level 1 registration. Make sure to register at some point this week. And then just make sure you're also spending some time looking at what Unit 13 is the final thing before you take that final exam. Final thing. You've been doing each week a Jamboard post. Google announced this past Thursday that Jamboards are going away in the next year. So if you've enjoyed Jamboard, they're going away. They're gone. Oh well. I've not been super a fan of it. It's never been part of lessons I've done, aside from just connecting it to the readings. It's a really good example of that. If you do like it, you're like, oh, that's interesting. I saw a handful of there was an NDA Google Certified Innovator meeting that I was a part of. So I learned about Google Jamboard going away about a full week ago before it was publicly disclosed. And I got to actually hear from a few different vendors with various options for Jamboard-like interfaces. And of those ones, and the one that you're seeing on blog posts and tweets and whatever else you may have been seeing, is a company called FigJam. You get it? Jamboard, by the company Figma. So if you look at FigJam, that is the alternative I'm recommending. I actually like it better than Jamboard in a lot of ways. It can be kind of that one, if you have a TV in your classroom or in your office and you want just a thing up on there, FigJam is a really cool thing to have up because it has a whole lot of features that you don't get in Jamboard. It's free for education. The team promised it will always be free for education. So FigJam is my recommendation for you. And moving ahead, this course will stop using Jamboard and will likely start using FigJam. Same interface, same workflow, same tasks, just new platform. So that's the nature of educational technology. It's a good reminder that your master's degree in ed tech has like an 18-month shelf life for being super relevant. So this is also your opportunity to get involved with organizations like ISTE, which is a national affiliate, or CUE, the California affiliate, to continue to learn, start presenting at conferences, continue to present at conferences, attend conferences, find those humans that you can continue to learn from, including me. I don't know quite where we are. Twitter or X at this point is getting strange. That feels like not a great solution. Instagram in some ways, yes. LinkedIn is becoming the thing. There's so many other platforms, Blue Sky and Mastodon, and I don't know, like I've literally lost count and just kind of stopped posting in most of the places. But I think LinkedIn, if you're looking for one spot, might be the place to start spending your time, connecting with other educators, continuing to figure out greatest and latest resources. Because if you don't do that and you're like, I like Jamboard, then in a year people are like, hey, you have an EdTech Masters. And they describe what Jamboard once was, and you're like, you should use Jamboard. And then they're like, thanks, person with a master's in EdTech. And then they sign up and they're like, hey, Bill, Jamboard's gone. And you're like, oh, I don't know. So now I caught you in week 7. FigJam is what you would recommend to others and what I'm recommending to you. But it's one of those where things are just changing and evolving. AI 30 times faster, again, not hyperbole, like 30 times faster than anything else I've experienced as an educator. So check out FigJam. Check out those Wakelet resources or just the discussion board videos from 60 Minutes. And that's what I got for you this week. Happy week 7, everybody.